You did this deliberately. That post is an illegal structure, and I am suing you for every dollar of damage to my vehicle. My attorney will be calling you before the end of today. This is a hazard. This is an illegal hazard, and you put it here knowing exactly what would happen, and I will have it removed. HOA President Brenda Carmichael told the homeowner at 8214 Oakwood Terrace that his concrete mailbox installation was an unauthorized permanent structure under Section 5.8 of the Silver Creek Meadows Subdivision Charter, that a $7,000 fine had been entered against his property deed with immediate effect, and that Collin County Code Enforcement Office had already been notified and would be conducting an inspection within the week. She said all of this for days after her SUV had sustained $14,000 in front-end damage, hitting the same post at the same speed she had used to destroy his previous mailboxes without consequence. What she didn't know was that the homeowner was a licensed contractor who had built the post to every USPS and county specification, had footage of all 4 previous destructions on a camera system backed up to 3 separate locations, and had an attorney who had already reviewed the footage and described the accumulated criminal mischief charges she was facing as the kind of case that ends careers and empties bank accounts simultaneously. Arthur Sterling, 44, a licensed general contractor who had spent 18 years building and renovating residential properties across North Texas, had lived at 8214 Oakwood Terrace in the Silver Creek Meadows subdivision of Plano, Texas. For just under 2 years, Silver Creek Meadows sat in Collin County, a middle-class neighborhood of well-maintained brick homes, wide streets, and the kind of community where people took pride in their properties and generally left each other alone. Arthur had bought his home knowing exactly what he was getting. It's a solid house in a decent neighborhood with good school ratings and reasonable HOA dues. He had renovated the back patio in his first summer, kept his lawn in perfect condition, and had never received a legitimate complaint from anyone on Oakwood Terrace. He was coming home from a job site on a Tuesday evening in late September when he noticed his mailbox was on the ground. The post had been snapped clean at the base, and the box itself was sitting in the grass at the edge of his property. He looked at the damage, looked at the street, and assumed someone had clipped it, pulling out of a driveway too wide. He reset the post, repacked the base, and went inside. 2 weeks later, it was on the ground again. Same clean break, same position in the grass, same absence of any note or apology from whoever had done it. He fixed it a second time and ordered a driveway camera the same afternoon. The camera went live 4 days later, and on the very next week it captured Brenda Carmichael, 58 HOA, president of Silver Creek Meadows for the past 9 years, steering her black Cadillac Escalade deliberately into his mailbox post at the edge of Oakwood Terrace as she drove past on a Thursday morning. Not clipping it, not drifting into it, turning her wheel toward it with enough intention that the post went down on the first pass, and she kept driving without slowing down. Arthur watched the footage twice. Then he called his attorney and started drawing plans for something she would not be able to knock down. Before we go further, what city or country are you watching from? Drop it in the comments. We love seeing where you're tuning in from. And if you believe that no HOA president has the right to destroy a homeowner's property and then fine them for replacing it, hit that like and subscribe button and join us here on HOA Conflicts. Arthur filed a police report with the Plano Police Department. The morning after he reviewed the footage, he submitted the camera recording along with the report and noted that this was the second confirmed destruction of his mailbox and that he believed the same vehicle was responsible for the first incident he had not captured on camera. The responding officer reviewed the footage, confirmed the deliberate nature of the impact, and opened a criminal mischief case. Under Texas Penal Code 28.03, the case was assigned a report number, and Arthur was told to expect follow-up contact within the week. The follow-up never came. What came instead was a phone call from the investigating officer informing Arthur that the registered owner of the Cadillac Escalade had denied any involvement and that without additional corroborating evidence, the case would remain open, but inactive. Arthur asked if the camera footage was not sufficient corroboration. The officer told him the footage showed the impact, but that the plate had not been clearly captured at the angle the camera was positioned, and that the registered owner's denial meant the case needed more before it could move forward. Arthur thanked him, ended the call, and repositioned his camera that same evening to cover the full width of the street and the license plate of any vehicle passing the front of his property. 3 weeks later, Brenda drove over his mailbox for the third time. The repositioned camera caught the full front plate of the Escalade in clear daylight as it turned deliberately into the post. Arthur filed a second police report the next morning with the new footage attached. This time, the plate was readable. This time, the case had no ambiguity in it. The investigating officer called him back within 2 days and confirmed that Brenda Carmichael had been contacted and that the matter was being cosplayed. And meeked off, pause, my derage, mon last I nutic. This time, the case had no insubtis testage, but no ecouply cob. Me was my equality. My ye, my cell, my US, my might, I said. My relief, carry, my missake kite, by my malice, decad, with some mal scanad, I relie it and law it's I up I say it to easily agree to you sisila to sit sikit to sit that I to say I got that I to sit to cop got let's reviewed for formal charges. Nothing happened. Arthur later learned through his attorney that Brenda had called the police department directly after being sued, contacted and had spoken to a supervisor she knew personally through a neighborhood civic organization. The case stalled again. Arthur replaced his mailbox for the third time, added a second camera covering the opposite angle, and waited. Brenda destroyed it a fourth time 10 days later. Both cameras caught it, front plate, side profile. Full impact and Brenda's face clearly visible through the driver's side window as she steered toward the post. Arthur sent the combined footage to his attorney without filing another police report. He had already decided that the police department in Plano was not going to be the solution to this problem. He was going to solve it himself, legally, permanently, and in a way that required no cooperation from anyone. He spent the following weekend drawing up the plans for a mailbox post that no Cadillac Escalade in the state of Texas was going to knock down. By Monday morning, he had his materials list ready, and by the following Saturday, the hole was dug. The rebar was in, and the concrete was poured. Arthur built the post over a weekend, and he built it the way a man with 18 years of construction experience builds something he needs to last. He dug 3 feet down, set a rebar cage 6 inches wide into the hole, and poured a high-strength concrete mix that he had used on commercial foundation work for the better part of a decade. The post itself was a 4-inch steel pipe set into the concrete core and wrapped in a cedar sleeve on the outside so it looked from the street like any other wooden mailbox post in the neighborhood. The mailbox mounted on top was standard size, standard height, regulation color. Every measurement within USPS guidelines and every material within what the Silver Creek Meadows HOA bylaws actually specified for residential mailbox installations. Nothing about it looked unusual from the road. From the road, it looked exactly like the 3 posts Brenda had already destroyed. Arthur finished the installation on a Sunday afternoon, packed the surface around the base, and went inside. Both cameras were running. He did not tell anyone what he had built. He just waited. Brenda drove past 8214 Oakwood Terrace on a Wednesday morning at her usual time. Both cameras picked up the Escalade turning onto Oakwood Terrace from the Silver Creek Meadows main entrance at 8:34 a.m. The footage showed her slowing slightly as she approached the front of Arthur's property. The specific deceleration of someone preparing to make a deliberate move and then steering the front right corner of the Escalade directly into the post at the same speed and angle she had used 4 times before. The post did not move. Not an inch, not a fraction of an inch. The Escalade's front right bumper collapsed inward on impact. The hood buckled, the front right wheel well crumpled back toward the firewall. The airbag deployed. The car came to a stop at an angle in the street with steam rising from the front end, and both cameras recording every second of it in full daylight. Arthur watched the footage from his kitchen. The evening Ann called his attorney before he called anyone else. The post was still standing perfectly straight in his front yard. It had not moved at all. Brenda Carmichael filed a complaint with the Silver Creek Meadows HOA board the same week her Escalade was towed from Oakwood Terrace. Citing Arthur's concrete mailbox post as an unauthorized hazardous structure and demanding its immediate removal, the board reviewed the complaint and requested a copy of the relevant bylaw. The bylaw Brenda cited Section 5.8 of the Silver Creek Meadows subdivision charter contained no language restricting mailbox post materials, construction methods, or foundational depth. The board found no grounds to act and informed Brenda in writing that the complaint could not be upheld. It was the first time in 9 years that the board had told her no about anything, and they did it in a letter. She then filed a civil lawsuit against Arthur seeking the full cost of her Escalade repairs. $14,000 on the grounds that his mailbox post constituted a road hazard that had caused damage to her vehicle. Her attorney presented the argument with a straight face in Collin County District Court. Arthur's attorney presented 4 separate camera recordings showing Brenda deliberately destroying his mailbox on 4 separate occasions, including the final impact in which her own driving caused every dollar of damage she was now trying to recover from him. The judge watched all 4 videos without interruption and dismissed her lawsuit before the first recess. The criminal mischief case that had stalled twice at the Plano Police Department was reopened after Arthur's attorney submitted the full footage package directly to the Collin County District Attorney's Office, bypassing the department entirely. 4 documented incidents of deliberate property destruction captured on camera with clear plate identification was not a difficult case to build. Brenda was charged with criminal mischief under Texas Penal Code 28.03 and faced a fine and a permanent mark on her record. The HOA board removed her from the presidency within days of the charges being filed and hired an independent management company to audit every enforcement action she had taken during her 9-year tenure. Arthur Sterling checked his mail on a quiet Friday morning with his coffee in hand. The post stood exactly where he had put it, straight, solid, and completely unbothered, just like him. If this story reminded you that sometimes the best response to someone who keeps knocking you down is to build something they cannot knock down, share this video with someone who needs to hear it today. And if you have an HOA story of your own that the neighborhood never found out about, drop it in the comments, because we are always listening. See you on the next one, right here on HOA Conflicts.